And if you don't, you're going to have very angry parents of the players calling your house because that is what we're at. We've got some people who are crashing out hard, and we're going to pivot really quickly to end this episode on Christian Pulisic because we've got to be living in some sort of simulation here. So just a couple of years after the whole Gio Reyna, his parents going in and calling the federation to get a coach fired in the most youth soccer American thing I've ever seen, another story comes out that another parent is coming and getting upset with people. Landon Donovan took to the airwaves to publicly thrash Pulisic's decision to not come to the friendlies of the Gold Cup. And then Pulisic's dad goes into the comments of Instagram. Imagine telling this story, by the way, in like 1998. Like, yeah, a dude's dad went online and wrote hate, like angry comments on a message board.
Imagine like Kyle Beckerman's dad's like ranting in the Instagram comments
Oh
section.
my God. It's giving Gio Reyna 2.0 vibes, which is insane. Donovan then is asked by the media to explain it. He says, "No, I won't tell you now, but tune into my podcast to hear the full thoughts because hell yeah." Um, and then they go on to, they actually had a live show doing this, and Tim Howard comes out and is like, "Oh yeah, I said something bad about Christian Pulisic, and his dad told me he didn't like it either. I told Christian Pulisic to call me. He DMs me. I gave him my number, and he never called me. So if you're looking for Christian Pulisic to come on our podcast, it's not happening. Are we in a simulation? What are we doing? What is going on?"
That really sums up the state of this organization right now.
We
Like
got we got more
honestly,
drama than we do in people are talking more about the drama of our team than the actual performance of the players, and that tells you a lot, right?
we're
Especially in
we're
these.
getting more headlines than we are goals.
Yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous. Then in an effort he says it wasn't to defend himself, but in an effort to kind of clear his name, Pulisic sits down with Jimmy Conrad, Tony Meola, and Charlie Davies to chat about what he went through in making his decision to skip out. First off, he's like, people calling him out are out of line. Do you agree with that?
I mean, we talked about this before, and I was on the side of being fine with him skipping out on the Gold Cup. So I wouldn't say it's out of line, but I don't necessarily agree with the people that are calling him out.
I mean, I kind of disagree with you there. Where I think we agree. We both were not. We didn't have a problem with him doing this, like leaving. But I guess in the back of my head, it was I don't have a problem with it so long as you stand by it, right? And I also think it depends on who's calling you out, right? I think Donovan calling him out's weird because we know that Landon Donovan asked for a break at 1.2, right? And he did it with way less minutes on his legs. But I think if like somebody like Clint Dempsey, who has grinded from the ground up to get to where he was, calls you out for being soft, I think you just sit there and you take it because I don't think he's wrong, right? So again, we'll get to this in a little bit, but it just feels weird that he had to go on and like defend himself over this. Like it didn't feel like that was something he needed to do. But
I mean, it just made the situation worse.
I agree. I completely agree. But I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit here. But he also commented, and this is something that really of the entire thing irked me, and the reason why I didn't think this was necessary. He goes on and they're talking to him about, oh, why did you choose to do this? And instantly he mentions that it's going to give him time to rest and recover before heading into next season, meaning his next Milan season. And for weeks, months, I mean, however long we've been talking about this, the reason we keep talking about the national team mentality is because that players have been conditioned to believe that European football is the highest calling, not the national team, right? And everyone's like, oh no, everybody loves the national team. He's now saying that he has intentionally asked for a break from the national team so that he can prepare for a club team. That's the only problem I had with this, right? If he was truly hurt, truly mentally fatigued, he could have come out and said, "Yeah, no, I was dealing with something, or my mind wasn't there. I needed just a full reset, not to prepare for anything. I just needed to get my mind off football." Great, happy for you. To come out and say, "Oh yeah, I needed to prepare for my next Milan season," really, really ground my gears, grinded my gears, however you want to phrase that, because comments and decisions like this prove this idea or give a false positive to this idea that players think that their European club is better than the national team. And again, I am club over country, right? I don't care if that's a thing. But don't hide it as one thing and then cover it as another. So I didn't really love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how the mentality from like again, if you're going to compare 2014 to now, the mentality shifted from I'm going to perform well, and it was I would say a lot more Major League Soccer guys back in 2014. I'm going to perform well in Major League Soccer so that my goal is I can get into the national team. And now, like you said, there was so much emphasis on you got to make it to Europe, you got to make it to Europe, you got to make it to Europe. Now that it shifted from I'm going to perform well in Major League Soccer so that I can go play in Europe. It's no longer I'm going to perform in Major League Soccer so that I can get into the national team. And I
Yeah.
think that is ultimately what has created this tumultuous situation where people just don't seem to like they don't have that same mentality anymore of like this was my goal. Like I'm going to obviously play my hardest here because this is what I was striving for. I think this is just an added benefit of hitting your goal of making it over to Europe and succeeding over in Europe.
Yep. And again, that's what bothered me because if you're going to come out here and say, "Oh, I care, I care, I care," you can't come out and say, "Oh yeah, I needed a break to prep for Milan." That bothers me, right? If you came out and said, "I really needed just my mind off football, my mind off everything, I just needed time to relax," right? He posted that picture too, right, where he was out with his family at a zoo or something, maybe. I don't quite know where he was. Great. I'm glad that you're taking that time to recover and focus on yourself. But then don't again, if he had left it at that, not even done this podcast, I'm like, great, awesome. He's really taking time for himself. But to come out and be like, oh yeah, I really need to focus on Milan, and then go, oh, but I'm focused on Milan so that I'm in good form for when I come into the World Cup. It feels backhanded, feels half-hearted. Didn't love it.
Yeah, agreed.
Then the other big thing I took away from this was that it feels like there's this tear in the relationship between the new coach and the player. Every other week, it's felt like they are just throwing each other under the bus, right? Pulisic doesn't want to come to camp. Poch goes straight to the media and makes sure it makes headlines. Oh, this was Christian's decision, not mine. Where he very easily could have been like, yep, I chose to give him a break because of his long season. Then Pulisic hops on an interview that is completely unnecessary and calls out this thing about how the coach only wants to make one roster for both the friendlies and the Gold Cup, didn't want to do two rosters. And they made him pick and choose, and he had to choose, what he wanted. And it's the coach's fault. Because if they just said he could have come to the friendlies, he would have come to the friendlies and skipped out. It just feels like the vibes are gone, right? This whole Mauricio Pochettino honeymoon is over, and we're starting to see the cracks, right? And it just feels like they are. And he also mentioned they haven't spoken with it since. Like they went on the call. It was like, hey, I want to go for half of it, not all of it. And he's like, no, you got to come for both. Okay, I'm not coming at all. And they hang up and they haven't spoken about it at all. Maybe a problem, maybe not, don't know. But this is not the vibe that you want to head into a major tournament with, personally.
Yeah, I mean, listen, cover your ears, Euro snobs, but not saying Greg's time always had the best vibes, but Greg had some peak vibes at points. I mean, we're talking back like bounce pass Greg, 3-2. Like, I will never forget that one game where they beat Mexico in extra time in the Nations League final 3-2. Like, that was peak vibes from this team. And I feel like it's been downhill since then, but my goodness if that felt like 2014, like that felt like such a gritty USMNT to a T type of win. Like just forget skill. Like they just wanted it more. It felt like they just wanted it more. And then since then, I just have not felt like that at all since that point.
Yeah, and it's a whole bunch of things, right? I think it comes from the players, it comes from the coaching staff, it comes from this thing where everything's all negative around it. And it kind of, I think it started online, right? Where it's like, oh, Greg's an MLS manager. We can't support him. And again, we've talked about it. Bringing him back was a problem. He shouldn't have come back for the second run. It should have been somebody else. Sure. Right. But just the whole vibe around it is bad. And it's not going to get better, by the way. Like we're going to go into 2026 and everybody's going to think that the world's burning. So be ready for it. But yeah, I'm not thrilled with the vibes. I think that there is a lot of cracks that are starting to show, and again, just the highlight of how unnecessary this was, right? People are talking about like, oh, Ronaldo asked to miss time with Portugal, but he didn't have to go on to a podcast and talk about it and defend himself. I don't even care about that. This is just a lose-lose situation. What did Pulisic think was going to happen? TAC manager and USMNT stand 901274 on Twitter are going to go and be like, "Oh, Christian came out and did a podcast. That's right. We're going to change our mind and not be upset at the fact that you're not here." Of course not. If he just sat there, let the media go through their cycle and let it die down after this group, Gold Cup, nobody would have had a problem with it. But he keeps bringing the attention on and bringing the attention on and stirring the pot, and it just I don't see the need for it personally. So your thoughts on that before we hit our last topic here?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that he should have just been quiet on it. And I know people were probably pressing him to give an answer, but just like as best as you can, giving non-answers and just letting it die. Just let it die naturally. Like I don't necessarily think like I think people would have understood the decision without needing further context of listen, I just played 3,500 minutes, 4,000 minutes or whatever. Like I need a break. I want to make sure that I stay healthy. I don't want to risk an injury for club or country. Let people it's like it's I think similar to like how sometimes movies end, right? Like sometimes movies will really spell it out for you and not let you kind of make your own conclusions. But I think the best kind of movies is like it's left to interpretation. Like you fill in the gaps, you can kind of like put the pieces together how you see it, and that's how you view the ending to a movie. And it's like that's what he should have done here. Let people like put the pieces together for themselves as to like what the decision making process was and leave it at that. And things would have been in much better shape.
Yep, I think it's pretty good.